Hello everyone and welcome. This is SEC Fanatic and I'm your host Matthew Johnson. If you're listening for the first time, this is a podcast, kind of obvious by the title. It's about SEC football. Well, right now at least, since that's mainly what SEC fans are listening to, watching. It's SEC football. Especially down here in the South, it's kind of all football. But during the rest of the year, we focus obviously on the SEC in a broader scope, all the sports. But right now we are previewing SEC Week 7 football and then taking a review at SEC Week 6. And to be honest, Week 6 made me sad. I had a lot of the teams that I root for lost in Week 6, and so it was just kind of one of those weekends where your team loses, and then your second favorite team loses, and then a bunch of teams come close, and you're just kind of like, well, at least Alabama's defense allowed a lot of points. And then you go and you sit and you start playing your video game, and where you've won like 6 national championships, and in that world, it's all good. So it was just one of those weekends. As far as score updates, South Carolina had to kick a game-winning field goal. The backup quarterback, I think his name is Skarnecki, I think I'm pronouncing that right, had to go in for the injured Jake Bentley, and he really managed the game well. He's a fifth-year senior, so I'm sure that game meant a lot to him. Alabama took care of Arkansas. Oh, and by the way, that South Carolina-Missouri game, the score was 37-35. In the Alabama-Arkansas game, Alabama took care of them 65-31. That 65 looks real good. That 31 does not. But of course, with Nick Saban, I'm sure he'll find a way to get things turned around. Florida, with Dan Mullen, did pretty well against LSU. 27-19, a game that I really didn't expect Florida to win. But Florida is proving that they're a lot better than I think a lot of people expected after that Kentucky loss. Ole Miss, again showing that against defenses that aren't really good defenses, they'll score on you. 70-21. That feels like a basketball score, but I mean, it's not. 70 points. This Ole Miss offense is very, very capable of laying it on you as long as, you don't have an actual defense getting off the bus. Kentucky losing the heartbreaker to Texas A&M. Texas A&M now becomes ranked because of that. Kentucky drops from 13 to 18. That was an overtime score. They took it out of their running back's hands and put it into Terry Wilson's, and that all just kind of broke down. That was the one that I was really kind of disappointed about. I've been a supporter of Kentucky, and no, I didn't think that they were going to go on and win the SEC championship, but I'm always one who likes a dark horse team, and Kentucky was the dark horse team, and I still think is. And I still think they have a chance to beat everyone else except for Georgia. Here's the interesting thing that Kentucky's going to have to do moving on. Is they've had success, they've been the Cinderella story, everyone's been like me, rooting for them because they've been winning when people didn't expect them to, but now that they've lost, how can they take that and turn it around and transition it and still be able to keep winning? Some teams, and Kentucky's done this a lot in the past, and it's why I think it's really important, is because Kentucky's gotten to this stage where they've gotten these 5-6 wins this first half of the season, and then they turn around and lose the rest because once they lose one, they kind of get heartbroken. It happened to Vanderbilt either last year or 2 years ago. They had a really good stretch. They get blown out by Alabama, and the rest of the year is trash. So Kentucky's going to have to figure a way to say, okay, we lost a tough one, but we lost a tough one to a good team, and we are still a contender. We're still a top 25 team, and we haven't been that. And so I think this next game is going to be very, very, very telling of who this Kentucky team really is and how they'll finish the season. And then, of course, that final score was 22-14. Georgia took care of Vanderbilt. I think everyone expected that, 41-13. And then Auburn losing a really tough one, kind of taking out all their expectations for the year, 9 2:23. Auburn did not score a touchdown, although they almost did. The running back was switching the ball between his hands, and it came out, and just a lot of frustrating, heartbreaking things for Auburn. Now, here's one thing. If you're an Auburn fan out there, listen real close. There's been a lot of talk about benching Jarrett Stidham from Auburn. That's Auburn's starting quarterback, for Malik Willis, who's a running quarterback. And the logic behind the people who say this, their logic is Stidham hasn't been doing well. So, now Malik Willis is a running quarterback who would fit Malzahn's system better. So, might as well give him a shot. Here's why I disagree with taking Stidham out of the game. Reason number one, Stidham has been your best quarterback since Nick Marshall. He's been the better quarterback than Jeremy Johnson. He's been a better quarterback than Sean White. Also, once you take him out, you shoot his confidence even more than it already is. And you also just mess the whole team up. There's no going back once you bench the quarterback. If the backup doesn't work out, then you're stuck with a starter who has even less confidence. And now what do you do? Third thing, I don't think Malik Willis is a good backup. Third string quarterback, Joey Gatewood is injured. Cord Sandberg just got here. He doesn't know the playbook. Malik Willis, of course, is the only logical backup who could go in and start. But some Auburn people will say there's not enough footage. I think there's plenty of footage. You put a backup quarterback in garbage time, and I mean, we saw John Franklin III shine in garbage time. Malik Willis has not shown in garbage time. He gave Alabama State their first score because of this key factor. Malik Willis likes to keep the ball. We've seen it ever since he first showed up on the field. He doesn't read. He keeps the ball, and he gets himself in trouble. He rarely throws it. Although, fair enough, he doesn't often get the chance. However, he doesn't throw it. There was one play against Washington, the 2-point conversion, where it was designed to throw. He had the receiver that was designed to be there open, the first option. But he didn't throw it. He ran. And it didn't work because he likes to keep it and run. That's his primary thing. He's handed it off a few times, but for the majority, he likes to keep it. And so because of that, I don't think that Malik Willis would actually be able to be a starter, because teams are going to key in on the run even more because they know it's either going to go to one of two players, maybe one of three players if they add in a jet sweep. And I don't think that Malik Willis's passing arm is that good yet. There's just a lot of uncertainties with Malik Willis, a lot of things that he's proven that he hasn't done well. And so I think to take out one of your better quarterbacks that you had over the past few years, just because he looks a bit rattled, I don't think that's a good idea. And I think that's why fans are not coaches. So, moving on from that little rant, let's preview Week 7, shall we? And if you disagree with me, let me know down in the comments. I'm sure you will. Florida plays Vanderbilt. That should help Florida keep going, keep rolling, keep being on track. It'll give Vanderbilt a chance to fight if they choose to do so. Auburn will be able to play a struggling Tennessee game who is 2 of 3 on the season. Auburn is 4 of 2. This should be a good tune-up game for Auburn. Auburn's offense definitely needs this. Big game of the week. Georgia, LSU. Man, this is going to be a fun game. I know LSU just lost, so maybe it means a little less than it did a week ago, but I still think this is the two biggest juggernauts that you have of the week, and I'm really excited for that game. That should be a really physical game. Texas A&M and South Carolina. I think Texas A&M has proven that they're able to fight. I don't know. South Carolina had to, they were barely able to beat Missouri. I think Texas A&M is more talented than Missouri overall. And so I think Texas A&M should be able to pull that out. Alabama plays Missouri. I mean, South Carolina kept it close. I think Alabama will not. I think the talent on their roster is just too superior. And then Mississippi and Arkansas, two teams that have seen some success and two teams that have struggled. The thing I'm looking for in this game is Arkansas has been really impressive to me in this fact. Even though they aren't winning and they're not really that good, they haven't stopped fighting. And I'm loving Arkansas because of that fact. And so I actually look for Arkansas to keep this game close. Maybe it's not true because Ole Miss has a dynamic offense and Arkansas doesn't really have a defense. Ole Miss could rack this thing up. I mean, they seriously have the potential to make this another basketball score against an SEC opponent, but I would love to see Arkansas fight. I think this is one of the games for Arkansas that they have the chance to fight, is in this game, prove that they can still be physical, prove that they can still win against an SEC team. Alright, so let me guys know what you think down in the comments, and I will see you all next week. Again, thank you for listening. You can listen iTunes, Stitcher, YouTube, it's in all those places. But thank you again for listening. It really does mean a lot, and God bless.